I'm getting higher just to feel ya, cause I need to. No one knows it, heart is frozen from your poison. Taking the potion just to feel ya, cause I miss you. Oh my God, can't stop you like heroin. My love you got, there's no settlement. I can't pretend that we're nothing. Oh, I think I'm overdosing. I think that I'm overdosing. I think that I'm overdosing. I think I'm overdosing. It's getting stronger, can't take no longer. Walking on fire. I'm getting higher just to feel ya, cause I need to. Feels like I'm burning a little bit more, just a little bit more now. Taking the potion just to feel ya, cause I need ya. Oh my God, can't stop you like heroin. My love you got, there's no settlement. I can't pretend that we're not meant. Oh, I think I'm overdosing.
Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's video is gonna be something different. Today I'll be talking about an experience of owning a super bike. Again, it's not me personally, but it's one of my best friends. He started off riding a 100cc, but right now he's currently moved to a 1000cc. And yeah, in fact, he was a person whom I approached, before I purchased my Ninja 300, because he owned a Ninja 300 before. Without any further delay, let me introduce Ralph. Hello Ralph,
Hey guys.
welcome to my channel.
Hi Rashton.
And how are you doing?
Good. It's a pretty hot day.
Yeah, and you wearing riding jacket, so I'll not take much of your time.
I'm actually cooking in it.
Again, thank you for taking your time to come and speak to
No problem. It's
us.
always a pleasure sharing my experiences with the YouTube fraternity. And yes, as you were saying that I started off riding 100cc RX100, and now I have come to a stage where I'm owning a 1000cc. It has been a very a journey which is like a roller coaster, which I will brief you in the further.
Sure. All right, so we've definitely introduced you now. Ralph, you want to introduce us to your bike?
Yeah, sure. So basically this is the 2020 Ninja 1000 SX. This replaces the 2019 model, and this gets all the electronics. So the 2019 model already had electronics before, but this has a little more, and obviously it is BS6 to make it Euro 5 compliant and BS6 compliant. Kawasaki has made a lot of changes. So the most noticeable change that everybody, it's a love it or hate it, is a single side exhaust. So there's no two-can exhaust now, which actually is a mixed feeling with the Ninja 1000 owners, but it's okay. I prefer this as well.
But Ralph, if I'm not mistaken, I mean a single side exhaust means that it's lower in the weight. How much weight
Yes,
does it save?
the bike has actually shed about, not much weight actually. If you go to see, the earlier bike used to weigh 238 kilos, but this weighs around 233. And furthermore, I have put an aftermarket exhaust which reduces the weight even more further by another 3 to 4 kilos.
Okay. So Ralph, if I could ask you one question, why a Ninja 1000?
See, basically in regards to owning a super bike, there are a lot of options, like you had a super sport, but I wanted something very practical. Now it is very difficult to find a practical super bike. So when you talk about practicality, you need comfort, you need power, which you will obviously want in a super bike. You don't want the super bike to be underpowered. So initially, honestly speaking, I was actually looking at the CBR 650F. I wanted an inline 4, but then again that was about 8 lakhs and it was around 80 bhp. That was a little pricey, so I cut that off and I said I'll put in a little more. I waited for another 2 years, and then finally I decided to go for the 1000, because this made a lot of sense because when you go onto a 650cc, then you have that urge to go onto 1000. So I said just finish it off and get the 1000 instead.
And speaking about bikes, what are the other bikes that you
So right
own?
now, as a daily driver, I use the FZ25. So on my channel, if you actually see, there's a lot of FZ25 videos because that bike is one of the best bikes I've bought till date. Because what that bike does is it actually gives you power in the city and a decent power on the highway. It is not a highway bike. It is a very good city bike. I use it daily. I've done almost about 48,000 kilometers on it in 3 years as a daily driver. I've just taken it once to Mahabaleshwar. That's it. But the bike is superb. Also, I ride a Suzuki Access BS6, and as you all know, we all need scooters to do our daily running about, get groceries, which even the superbike cannot do.
Get it.
A scooter, what the job that a scooter can do, the superbike, even with panniers cannot do it.
Yes.
So you need a scooter, so that is one good thing. And yeah, so I have the 1000, I have the FZ25, and I have an Suzuki Access BS6.
That's amazing, Ralph. So Ralph, about owning a super bike. Now I'd like to know what are the positives and the negatives of the Ninja 1000?
See, basically, in regards to the positives, there's a lot of positives that are there. So what you get here is a comprehensive electronic package which the higher Ninjas get. So you get something. This is a sports tourer. This is not an all-round super sport. What this gets is the electronic package which the higher Ninjas get. So what I mean by that is you will see a 10R, and the only thing that this misses out on is launch control and wheelie control, which I don't need in a sports tourer. They have put in a quick shifter which is a bi-directional quick shifter. That is something which is really good in a sports tourer. They have put in cruise control, so you have ride by wire, so you don't have any cables, it's all electronic. You have a cruise control here. So on touring, cruise control is very handful because when I went on my Mahabaleshwar ride on a long stretch on Pune, I actually used this, and what they actually did is it increased the mileage of my bike also. So in terms of comfort also, I have been touring with my partner, my wife, and she's very happy with the comfort. There was no fatigue, there was no stress on the legs, no backache, nothing, because the bike has enough of ample power and the comfort to take you long distances without a brake.
Okay. So Ralph, now we've talked about the positives of the bike. What are some of the negatives of owning a Ninja 1000?
The negatives, I would say that yes, firstly is the weight. Coming from a 300cc which was 174 kilos coming to 238 kilos, yes, definitely the weight factor is there, but you kind of get used to it. So the first week I was a little jittery on this bike because of the weight, especially when you take turns, when you take U-turns. So that is the way, and this the steering lock is a little too early on this, so as compared to the Versys 1000.
Okay.
But in terms of ground clearance also, it has the same ground clearance as the 300. So if you see, it is around 131 mm. So there's not much difference from the Catcon. Also the Catcon in the BS6 is much thicker, fatter. So the ground clearance is not that much. So the Catcon takes the beating. But yes, definitely this is not an off-road bike. So if at all you are planning to get something which you do a lot of off-road trails and adventure sports and all, this is not the bike. This is a complete mile muncher on the highway.
Okay. And talking about the Ninja 1000, I'm sure there would be some kind of memorable, memories that you have on this bike. Any memorable ride that you had on a Ninja 1000?
Yes, definitely. I am doing my breakfast rides, that's normal. But in terms of, I've been twice to Mahabaleshwar on this. I have not done much touring on this. But definitely it was my first time to Mahabaleshwar on the FZ25. When I went on this bike, it was a piece of cake.
Yes.
It was a piece of cake. Because on the FZ, when I reached my destination, I was fatigued. Because apart from comfort, you need that power. So when you have power, there's a less fatigue that you have when you do long stretches.
Okay.
So here I could manage with lesser stops because of the comfort factor of the seat. If you see, the seat of the Ninja 1000 for the pillion seat is much more fatter as compared to the earlier model.
Okay.
So you have grab rails, everything is there. And yes, definitely the engine being smooth, there's less strain on your wrist, there is less strain on your body, in terms of when you ride long distances. So me being 6 foot tall, you need ample of wind protection on this bike because the earlier visor was really small, the stock visor that came in. I don't know why Kawasaki did that, because in the 2019 model, you got a bigger windscreen. But maybe because of the ergonomics or something like that. But I've changed it to Puke touring visor. So this is on the topmost setting. So you have 3, 2, 1. So this is the most sportiest one. So if you look at the side angle, it's a nice sweep. The look of the bike also changes along with the visor settings.
And coming about maintenance and cost. Now, what are the cost factors involved in owning a super bike? Like, I understand you need to have.
Yes, definitely there is a higher cost factor involved. Majorly, your major expense will go in oil, your brake pads, tires. These three will be the major changes. This bike is a Japanese bike, very reliable. It's a tank of an engine, so just maintain it well. And obviously my service cost used to come to around 7,000 per service. So if at all, when the time is to come to change the brake pads, which is now, so basically you can look for aftermarket brake pads, which is around 9,000 for all the set.
The entire set.
And the entire set. So which I've already got from EBC.
Okay.
The stock Kawasaki is about 15,000. So I don't want to go with that. I wouldn't spend so much money on stock. So.
And for example, what's the cost of changing a set of tires like?
Right now in lockdown, because of the import issues happening, the tire set is costing about 32 to 33, which is Pilot Road 5 Michelin, which is one of the best tires for this type of bike, which is a sports tourer. And I will be going for Road 5, but I'll wait because I don't need to change it right now. I'll wait.
That's amazing. And my next question, I mean, you already covered something about my next question. What's not stock on this bike?
Not stock. I'm a person who believes more in functional mods than looks.
Okay.
So basically the first thing that I did was the radiator guard. So before the bike even was delivered to me, I went and got the sliders and I got the radiator guard. So this is Puke Pro, one of the best sliders for the Ninja 1000. Okay, and if you see, they come out quite much. So they are almost on the handlebar. You have a RNG radiator guard. Oh god, that's dirty. So that is exactly what it does. It helps, guards the radiator guard from all the dust, because if you see this mud guard is quite short. So if you see stones, tar, if you see muck, slush, everything goes onto the radiator. If you see this mud guard,
Yes.
it's a very small mud guard. Then these are the first two things I got on the bike. On the delivery day, I ensured that I had these two things. Then later everything follows. Then the next mod that I did was basically the screen, the visor, because the stock visor was pathetic. The stock visor used to come till here.
Okay.
I have this extra leverage of so much. And yes, the exhaust this was my latest mod. So why I chose a Yoshimura over an Acropovic, because I'm always an Acropovic fan. My 300 had an Acropovic, but Yoshi is more basic.
Yes.
And why I took this, because BS6, the bike is silent. It's almost like riding an electric bike. So being a superbike, you need that
Grunt.
that grunt, that hum, inline 4. But I didn't want it to be too loud. This is perfect.
Okay.
It is soothing to the ears. You don't want to irritate the pillion rider because of that loud noise. Because when you go, this is a sports tourer, not a super sports. When you go touring, a loud exhaust will tire you more down.
Agreed.
That's it.
And so some of our viewers may not know. Can you explain what this exactly is?
Okay, so this is the rear suspension adjustability.
Okay.
So in other bikes, you need a C clamp to do that. Here I can do over the go.
Okay.
So what this does, if you focus here, this is the lower setting, this is the higher setting. So you revolve it, 2 clicks, do other click,
Okay. Yes.
1 more click. So this is 2 levels up.
Okay.
So if you're riding with a pillion, it is good to keep it little firm. So this clockwise makes it firmer. This way will make it softer. So this way the suspension goes down. This way the suspension will go up.
Okay, that's amazing. And
And the front suspension also is adjustable. So if you see here, preload, rebound, you can do that. But I don't touch this. This front suspension is very good for the Indian roads and for touring. So you can make it firm as well as you can make it hard as per your taste. So if you wanted to take this on a track or something, you can make it firm. So you have this adjustability here as well.
okay,
So if you see, it is soft and hard.
yes,
This is completely adjustable, but I don't touch that. I mostly tweak this because mostly I'm riding with a pillion, and this is very handy.
I mean, for the price that you pay for this bike, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of things that's included for its price point.
You cannot get a bike with this type of package in this price range.
I'm sure you would have been asked this question, a lot of times, but for my channel, and for the viewers out here, I'm sure, this is something that people would like to ask you. Bike kitna deti hai?
When you talk about the mileage of this bike, I was actually surprised because I have actually achieved, the max mileage I've achieved was 22 kmpl.
For 1000cc inline 4.
1000cc. On a breakfast ride where I literally ripped the hell out of this bike, I got about 17 to 18.
That's the minimum.
I have not gone beyond that.
Okay, that's good. I mean, for 1000cc where
I've not
you've
gone
got that
And that is
mileage.
actually amazing because actually if you ride this bike really well, you can actually extract 22 every time. And when you put on cruise control, when you go on a long stretch, when you do like say for a 1000-kilometer ride, say from Mumbai to Bangalore or something like that, you will be using cruise control because you will get those highway stretches.
Yes,
That will increase the mileage like hell.
that's good. That's good.
Because the bike is running at the same speed, there's no fluctuation, nothing. It's riding the same speed, same RPM. It's just auto mode on. So that's one good thing. And yes, for those people who are planning to upgrade to superbike, just a piece of advice: don't jump onto a superbike after riding a 150cc or 200cc or something like that. Gain experience and then do it, because apart from your riding skill, you need to ride this bike with brains.
Yes, agreed.
Because there have been scary moments for me also, wherein even I get carried away at times. But then this bike is little forgiving. It's not like a 10R which will scare the shit out of you. This bike is forgiving, but at times, because of the ride-by-wire, the throttle is really light, so you kind of tend to get carried away.
Okay.
So, but frankly speaking, those who are riding a 300 will actually be able to judge this bike also well, minus the weight issues, and get used to the power, and you're sorted.
Yes, because the 300 looks light, I mean heavy, but it's
The
light.
300 looks heavy because if you see, the bulkiness of the 300 is also there. Though it is a 300cc, it is not a small bike.
Agreed. And I mean,
And that's a 7-year-old design and it still works.
it definitely works. And in fact, Kawasaki has just launched the BS6 with the same design, no changes at all. And again, Ralph, before we go, like, one thing about owning a Kawasaki now, I own a Kawasaki and you own a Kawasaki, and you've owned one previously. And Kawasaki services are not cheap.
Yes, Kawasaki services are not cheap, but definitely if at all you need to maintain your bike well. So yes, definitely that part is there. The spare parts is not cheap at all. So the spare parts of Kawasaki is one thing that I have. I can put it as a negative, but definitely with quality comes a price.
Yes.
So when I talk about quality, the Kawasaki parts are of top-notch quality. So you won't find panel gaps and all that thing there.
And again, from one Kawasaki owner to another Kawasaki owner, there's nothing such as free service.
No, there's no free service
in
for a
Kawasaki.
300 or a 250 also. There's no free services, because you are buying something very premium from them, and definitely they also expect that you put in all your your heart and soul in maintaining that premium offering that they have to give you. And also one more thing is, once a Kawasaki owner always a Kawasaki owner.
Agreed.
Because you will never get the Japanese smoothness engine in a European bike. That is plain blank.
Okay. Definitely. And Ralph, I mean, I understand you have to, you know, be there at some place, and you know, we are short on time. I would definitely love to, you know, speak to you about this bike sometime more. You know,
Sure, you
probably go for a breakfast ride together.
Definitely. Once lockdown ends, then we can kind of plan it out.
We can definitely do that.
Right now, rides have to stop, and we have to
Maintain,
be a little more responsible, because rides will come, but health is more important.
Yes. And Ralph, again, thank you so much for taking
Thank you,
this
Ashwin.
time and you know, coming to speak to me.
Definitely sharing knowledge is very good, and definitely this video will actually help potential buyers of the 300 move on to a bigger bike, because that is all what we want to do.
Definitely, Ralph. And thank you so much again. I'll definitely love to, you know, come on a ride sometime. So hopefully the lockdown gets over. Until then, guys,
Definitely.
stay safe.
I think I'm overdosing. Then I'm overdosing. Overdosing. I think I'm overdosing.